All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and create an end wall elevation erection drawing. And to get started, we'll come up here to the View menu in Tekla. We will then go to the View Properties button, or we can actually double click on the background of an existing view to open up the view properties. We'll go to the drop down here and select Elevation View, and we can then go ahead and type in the frame line that we're working with. So here, frame line 1, we'll apply those settings. Now, we only have the view depth up and down about 3 feet, because basically our view plane is going to be cut at grid line 1, and we don't want to see anything beyond the end wall. And so that's why we've set our view depth as shown here. Now we'll apply these settings for the next new view that we're going to create, press OK. Then we'll go to the new view drop down here at the top of Tekla, and we'll choose using 2 points. Now, here at the lower left hand corner, Tekla says pick the first position. So again, I'm going to go ahead and just click somewhere here on the intersection of grid line 1 and F. And then notice here that I'm trying to cut the section from the outside of the building looking inward. So I've rotated my model and I'm picking here basically, at the top of the building, and then just going to another point here somewhere along this grid line. Now notice that there are the green, basically the green pointer directions, which show the direction that the view is going to be cut. So I'm going to be looking towards the inside of the building. I'll press that, and then here you can see that a new view is created. We'll interrupt. And next, we're going to go ahead and create the drawing. Now again, before I create the drawing, what I've been explaining in the previous videos is that the part names are fairly important. So whatever you set up in SlideRule to import into Tekla Structures from MBS, as far as your part names, such as GERT, Purlin, etc., they're pretty important for you to set in the drawing properties as well for filters and some of the object level settings that I've created. So just remember that these names do matter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to Drawings and Reports at the top of Tekla. I'll then go to the Create GA Drawing icon here, and that will open up the dialog box. This time we're going to select the Frame Line 1 view. I'll then go to Drawing Properties. Here inside of the General Arrangement Drawing Properties dialog, I'll go to the drop down and I'm going to use MBS _ end wall. I'll load those properties and then I'll change my drawing number, and then I can enter in the grid line. I'll press apply, so that way these settings are used for the next new view that I create. I'll choose the open drawing option and press create to create and open up the erection drawing. Now once the drawing is created, you can see that I have a view scale that fits nicely inside of the drawing border and inside of this member table here. And then we also have the bolt table down at the lower left, which shows the connections between the different members. Now, if we needed to change the scale, again, we can double click on the view border. We can change this number here, and the larger the number, the smaller the view is going to be on the sheet. And so you can modify that as required. Now, the next thing is we're going to come over here to the Applications and Components panel. And here underneath those drawing tools that I've been using in previous drawings, I'm going to go ahead and choose the End Wall Elevation tool. Now, here again, just like in the previous videos, the name of your parts is particularly important. So you want to make sure whatever you set up in SlideRule to import into Tekla, just like we inquired in the model a second ago, you need to make sure that the appropriate types of parts here and their names match. Now you can put in additional parts by putting a space bar here between each of the part names, just like you kind of see here down below on header names. So there's like frame wall header, frame wall strut. And so you can add additional names by separating them with a space bar, but you want to make sure that these are an exact match. Now, the other thing here too, before I actually run this, is that there are parts that are actually only shown here and some things are not. So again, if I double click on the drawing properties, go to filter, we can see that there's a lot of these filters in here that have the word contains for the condition rule. And so that way this will basically filter out parts somewhat with any of these filters that have the part names with at least this one word in it. So that'll usually work for most scenarios with most setups from MBS into Tekla. Now, there's also additional object level settings, kind of like what we've done on the other drawings, where we can change the presentation or the part mark callouts for certain parts versus others using filters. And so now that we've got all that set, we're just going to go ahead and press the apply button here. This is going to automatically add our dimensions. It'll do all of our spacings here, essentially for any of our openings, as well as for our GERT vertical spacing here. So rather than having to manually dimension any of those here within the drawing, you can easily just quickly get that automated. And there you go. Pretty quickly, we have our end wall elevation all complete here within Tekla Structures.